Eurostat just dropped its latest data on AI adoption in European businesses. We're going to cut through the hype and break down who's using AI, who isn't, and most importantly, why. This is a look at the hard numbers, the ground truth.
So let's start with the headline number. Forget the speculation for a second. What does the data actually say about AI adoption across the European Union?
The answer is 20%, 1 in 5 EU companies. Now, that number by itself doesn't tell us much. Let's see how we got here.
Yeah, that 20% didn't come out of nowhere. It's up from just 13.5% last year, and it's nearly triple the rate from back in 2021. The trajectory is clear, and the acceleration is significant. But that average number, it actually hides the real story.
Because that 20% average masks a massive divide. Adoption isn't happening evenly at all. So let's break down who is actually adopting AI and who is getting left behind. The contrast by company size is just stark. Over half of large enterprises are using AI. For small companies, it's barely 1 in 6. This points to a huge gap in resources, in risk tolerance, and, of course, in access to specialist talent.
The divide is also geographical. Take a look. Denmark's adoption rate is 42%. Now compare that to Romania at just over 5%. That is an 8-fold difference within the same single market. The Nordic countries are clearly pulling way ahead of the pack.
And the split by sector is just as clear. Almost 2/3 of tech and communication firms use AI. Compare that to construction at just over 10%. The takeaway here is that digitally native industries are leading, while those in the physical world are lagging far behind.
Okay, so we've seen the what, now for the why. If AI is so transformative, why are 4 out of 5 companies still not using it? Well, the data points to a very clear set of barriers.
The number one reason isn't cost or skepticism, it's a skills gap. 71% of companies that considered AI said they lack the expertise. It's a supply and infrastructure problem, followed closely by legal uncertainty and privacy fears.
And this is a crucial point. The issue isn't a lack of belief. Of the companies that considered AI and then didn't adopt, almost 80% of them still believed it would be useful. They see the value, but they can't bridge that implementation gap. This is not a demand problem.
All right, so let's shift gears and look at the momentum. Where is adoption growing the fastest, and what specific tools are these companies actually using? The leaders are pulling away. Denmark jumped nearly 15 percentage points in a single year. And this isn't an anomaly. 26 out of 27 EU countries saw an increase. So the overall direction is undeniable, but the velocity varies dramatically.
So what are they using it for? Primarily, marketing and sales, which takes the biggest slice, followed very closely by business administration. These are the most common entry points. It's also worth noting that for large companies, ICT security is a massive focus, with nearly half of them using AI for that specific purpose.
And the specific tools they're adopting reflect this. It's all about communication, analyzing text, generating media, creating language. You can literally see the effect of generative AI in this data. This wave of adoption is not about complex operational automation. It's being driven by these new communication tools.
So what does all this mean for you? Let's distill this down into 3 strategic takeaways.
First, if you're a business owner, the key message is you're not too late. Far from it. That 80% of the market that's still on the sidelines, that's the opportunity. The play here isn't to be a pioneer, it's to be a smart follower. Start with accessible tools that boost daily productivity and build from there.
Second, if you're in consulting or services, the data justified your core market. That 71% of companies citing a lack of expertise is a direct call for help. They don't just need a tool, they need strategy, implementation roadmaps, and guidance on the legal and privacy issues. This is a massive demand for practical guidance.
And third, if you're a creator or a product builder, the game has changed. Simple access to generative AI is no longer a competitive advantage, it's just the baseline. The real value has shifted upward. It's now about your strategic judgment, your taste, and your unique insight. The tool is a commodity, your thinking is the premium.
Ultimately, this data is just a snapshot in time, but the trend line is unambiguous. It's going up. The question is no longer if AI adoption will become widespread. The only question now is where you will position yourself on that curve. Will you be ahead of it or behind it?